Did you know that Martin Luther King Jr. once applied for a concealed carry permit after his house was bombed in 1956? Yes, it's true. The champion of nonviolence was so concerned about his family's safety that he sought permission to arm himself. It's an interesting twist in the story of a man who is synonymous with peaceful protest, isn't it? But there's so much more to the tale of Martin Luther King Jr. Born on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, Martin Luther King Jr. was the second of three children of the Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. and Alberta Williams King. Baptized as Michael King Jr., his father later changed his and his son's names to Martin Luther in honor of the German Protestant leader. Growing up, King was a bright and inquisitive child. He excelled in school, skipping 2 grades, and entering Morehouse College at the tender age of 15. It was here that King's spiritual journey began in earnest. Inspired by the college president Benjamin Mays, an outspoken advocate for racial equality, King decided to enter the ministry. In 1955, King was thrust into the national spotlight when he led the Montgomery bus boycott. This was a 13-month mass protest against the city's racial segregation policies on public buses. The boycott resulted in a landmark Supreme Court ruling that segregation on public buses was unconstitutional, marking a significant victory for the civil rights movement. King's leadership during the boycott made him a national figure and the de facto spokesperson of the civil rights movement. His philosophy of nonviolent resistance, inspired by Mahatma Gandhi, would define the movement and influence civil rights struggles worldwide. In 1963, King led the March on Washington, where he delivered his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. His impassioned call for an end to racism and his vision of a future where people would be judged by their character, not the color of their skin, resonated with millions around the world. King's tireless efforts for racial equality and social justice were recognized in 1964 when he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. At 35, he was the youngest man at the time to receive the honor. Now, let's circle back to the little-known fact about King's concealed carry permit application. After a string of threats and the bombing of his house, King applied for a permit to carry a concealed weapon. However, despite being a public figure under constant threat, his application was denied. This incident led King to commit to nonviolence fully. He got rid of the gun he owned, decided never to touch a firearm again, and even began to discourage his followers from carrying weapons. So there you have it, the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., a man who was born into a world of segregation and racism, but who rose to lead a movement that changed the course of history. From his early life as a bright, ambitious student to his role as a leading figure in the civil rights movement, and finally, to a little-known anecdote that shaped his commitment to nonviolence, King's story is a testament to the power of peaceful resistance and the enduring pursuit of equality.